Hello and welcome to MyDocSafe webinar series. In this edition, we will show you how to send ID verification test requests through client portals. So in the previous webinar, we were sending those requests through just by email without requiring the client to have login details to a portal. We're doing it through prospects. In this webinar, we will be doing that through client portals. So the main difference between prospects and client portals is that in the client's portal group, each portal is ring-fenced, is encrypted, can have one or more users, and every user needs login details or potentially two-factor authentication to log in and access anything that is inside it. With prospects, this is pretty much a selling tool or pre-onboarding tool, which where you could have various types of workflows that you can send across to your potential clients and ask them to go through those steps. So in this webinar, we will be talking about client portal groups. To create one, of course, you could do this through the plus button here and use the client group setting. I have a few already, so I don't need to create one from scratch. I will use the client's portal group. And in here, I have already created a few portals. What do they look like? That's what we have in here so far, which is a very simple welcome message and some tabs on the left. You could see the dashboard, which is this page we're on. We see workflows, public documents for a document library. Documents is basically a document management system with files and folders. We have signed documents, which is simply a convenience folder, which will assemble and collate all the documents that have ever been signed through this portal. And we have messages. We've enabled that so that we can send messages across. Now, going back to ID verification, where does ID verification live? Well, there are several use cases we will discuss in this webinar, starting from the simplest one, which is we have one portal user and we would like to send that portal user a workflow with ID verification embedded in it and pretty much nothing else. So to start, go to workflow templates and create a workflow template. I've created one here and published it. It simply has one step right now, ID verification, and the workflow is published, so it's visible. What does that mean? It means that if I go to any portal and then click on workflows, I will see that workflow available on the list. So here it is. This is the one. What I can do is click on the three dots on the right and then send an invite to the portal user. Please go through the workflow and you can click send. So now let's look at the end user's experience. Let's switch to the inbox and you could see that there is an invitation that has arrived with a button called start the workflow, and that email arrived to this user who is the portal user. Let's click on the button and see what happens next. So because the button leads to a workflow that is inside a portal, we need to log in first. So I need to log in with the right credentials as that portal user, and when I log into the portal, I'm redirected immediately to the ID verification workflow straight away. And here we are. You could see 3 steps because I've enabled address verification as well. We have ID verification and scan of the face, as you would expect. Now, if the person doesn't know what to do or doesn't have the time, they can log out or they can close the workflow and go back to their portal, maybe send a comment saying, I'll do this later, but that workflow is available later on as well. So you could see that I can go through it and again at my leisure. So let me go back to the administrative console and then refresh, and what will I see here? I see that the ID verification was sent. I don't see anything else. I can play around with statuses and turn them on, or set bespoke statuses to tell me exactly where the person is in the workflow. But for that, I'm not going to cover that in detail right now. All I want to illustrate is how to set up a workflow template with ID verification, publish it in a workflow, and then invite the client to it and what the client's experience is. Now, what if we do not want address verification and we would like to turn that one off? Well, you can't really change the types of tests you requested once the workflow has begun, but for future workflows, you could do that. And to do this, you need to go to workflow template if you're using the templates and edit the widget, and then turn off the proof of address test and then close it. So from now on, whenever you clone this workflow, that test will no longer be requested. So that's use case number one user, very simple workflow. Now let's look at a more complicated situation where we have multiple users in a portal. Maybe just two, but maybe it's five. Maybe we have a portal for insolvency proceedings, or for mergers and acquisitions, or a real estate transaction where a number of people need to do ID verification. But you, as the portal administrator, you either do not even know who those people are yet, but you have one person who's the key contact who can invite everyone else, and you would like to pretty much instruct the first person about what to do, and that person would then invite everybody else, and those other people would be able to go through the tests, which would save everyone a lot of time. So to do that, what you need to do is, first of all, enable multiple clonings, or the ability to clone workflows in a portal by end users themselves. To do that, you need to go to the workflow templates if you're using the templates and turn on this option. This will create a sort of a new feature inside client portals where every single portal user will be able to create their own version of this workflow and run it with it independently. So that's the first thing to keep in mind. Then the next, once you've done it, you have now actually two options. One is simply invite the first user to the portal, tell them to invite all the others, and then tell them where to go. They would have to go to the workflows. And as you could see here, now we have this interesting plus button that has emerged where everyone can click on the plus button and go through their own test. Now you might say, well, this list is fairly busy. There are other types of workflows for different purposes. How will I make sure that the person who comes in to this portal doesn't really know a lot about the context? All I want them to do is ID verification. Will they find it? Will they click on the button? There is a bit of a risk. So how do you mitigate that risk? Well, we have given you an extra tool exactly for that purpose, which is a dedicated ID verification tab that you can enable. To do that, go to Portal Group Settings here on the left, and then click on the Open Portal Tab Configuration button. And you could see that here on the left, you have ID verifications, an item that is available to be turned on. Click on it. And maybe we want to put it at the bottom, all right, and click Save. Now, what's going to happen now? If we go back to the portal and click on the, go to the dashboard, we see the ID verifications tab emerge on the left. And if you click on it, you now see the list of ID verifications that have been done through this portal, and only ID verifications. The clients will have a plus button, so they will be able to turn on their own ID verification workflow. And it's actually just a single step, only one action, just go through the ID check and nothing else. So now when you invite that initial individual to the portal and you tell them, all right, you go through all the motions and all the difficult workflows, but all the subsequent individuals can just log in, click on ID verifications, and just run through their own test. It's a much simpler experience. And also the other benefit is that all the ID test results are in a single, accessible from a single page. You don't need to go through more complicated workflows like I've shown you before. Now, the last thing to mention is that if you use this technique, as you see, you do not actually specify anywhere here what type of tests you want the end users to go through. You don't do it here. You actually have a separate place for it. I just want to show you where it is. Here in the settings for the portal group, there's a tab called ID verification. And this is where you turn on and off all the extras that you may or may not require. So the ID verification tab, if enabled in the portal, will take the setting from right here. So as you see now, every person going through the experience would need ID verification. But let's actually turn it off for now. And as the last step in this webinar, I will actually log in as that one of those individuals. Let's say as Anna Johnson. So I'm going to log in as Anna Johnson. Copy her email address. I'll go to the other tab, and let's say, and I'm logging in as Anna Johnson. And here I have a number of portals. Which portal do I need here? Job logs. All right, I go to job logs and ID verifications. So as you can see, there is a plus button. If I click it, I will go straight to the test, and I have turned off address verification. So we only have 2 steps here, and I can start it. Or maybe not. Maybe I can go back and go about my business. But now if I go back to the ID verification tests, I now have 2 line items, and I can see the results of each of those tests and continue with mine. All right, so that completes this webinar about sending AML ID verification requests through client portals. If you have any questions, feel free to email us at customerservices@mydocsafehq.com, and look out for more webinars in this series. Thank you very much.